Welcome to the Focus TV, this week's edition, that is. Joined as always with Octavia Wyatt, Raymond Lyons, Wilson Tarpe Jr. This is season 5, episode 8. Got a lot to get to tonight, as always. Cardell will be calling in a little bit later from Slam Dunk at the BJK Hoophall East. But we're starting the show with Octavia. Raymond's going to talk Wizards and Go-Go a little later. It keeps back for all you fans of NFL teams that are down bad and look for a quarterback. Keith got 2 of them this week in his draft segment. Sucks to be you. Just know I'm laughing. And hopefully you guys figure that position out. And that's going to be the first time tonight we touch on the quarterback position. That said, Octavia, what's going on in the greatest division in the world? And Raymond, I know you enjoying this year because, yeah.
Because life's good. Yeah. Let's first go ahead and acknowledge that you really want to pay attention to what Keith talks about if you're looking for quarterbacks, because there are 2 particularly in this division that I'm sure people are looking to have turnover and get a new one in there. But this week it was an all NFC East battle with each team playing against another. So we only had 2 games this weekend. The games were so close, and I'm lying, they weren't. The Philadelphia Eagles played the Giants, and Eagles won 34-10. So like I said, I was lying. I was just making a little joke. Jake Fromm got his first NFL start as a quarterback. He ended 6 of 17, 25 yards, 1 interception, and 3 carries for 12 yards before getting benched for Mike Lennon, who was 17 of 27, 93 yards, 1 touchdown, 1 interception, and 2 carries for 11 yards. Saquon Barkley had 15 carries for 32 yards, and 1 reception for -4 yards. Kadarius Toney had 4 receptions for 28 yards, and Evan Ingram had 4 receptions for 17 yards and 1 touchdown. For the Eagles, Jalen Hurts was 17 of 29, 199 yards, 2 touchdowns, 2 carries for 7 yards. I think he had an interception too. And then Miles Sanders was 7 carries, 45 yards, 1 reception for 3 yards. Boston Scott had 12 carries for 41 yards and 1 touchdown. Devontae Smith had 5 receptions, 80 yards, and 1 touchdown. And Lane Johnson had 1 reception for 5 yards and 1 touchdown. This is becoming a trend, it seems like, in the NFL. A lot of these offensive tackles are getting open for touchdowns. The Giants did it earlier this year as well, for one of their few touchdowns this year. And it looks like the Philadelphia Eagles put that in their playbook as well. The game started off terrible, and I mean that on both sides. As bad as the Giants were, the Eagles were just as bad in the first half. It was 3-0 for a while, and then it was 3-3, I believe, at halftime. I believe they said this was the first time in the franchise history of them playing against each other that the first half ended in a 3-3 tie. That's how bad. There was no offensive movement. There was crazy plays that happened. The interception off of Dallas Goedert's foot. The fumble after. They looked like a team that was either really rusty or not well rested, playing against the Washington football team on the Tuesday night, having days off and then having to get ready to play on a Sunday. And it showed. But the second half was a complete turnaround. Again, they dominated again in the running game. Even though Miles Sanders only had 7 carries for 45 yards, he left the game early. He has become injury prone, and I'm sick and tired of it. He now has a broken bone in his hand. He will be out next game. They just signed Kerryon Johnson back to the team for some more depth. Of course, although I'm happy that they do still have Jordan Howard, I think he'll have a bigger role this week. And of course, they'll sprinkle Boston Scott in there as well. Maybe give Kenny Gainwell some more reps as well. Devontae Smith is proving why he won the Heisman. The toe tap in the end zone was crazy. I literally, when I watched it live speed, I didn't think he caught it. I was like, he wasn't in bounds. There was no way. And to watch them call it a touchdown, reverse it back, and then give it back again, I don't know what's going on with replay, but thank you for the touchdown, because looking at it, it was crazy. Jalen Hurts had another good game, although he's showing more poise in the pocket now. He's not even rushing as much. Like I said, he only had 2 carries for 7 yards in his game. So I think he's finally starting to settle in. It seems like he starts games really shaky. I don't know if it's the ankle that's still bothering him from a couple weeks ago or what, But once he settles in and he kind of like gets over whatever is going through his mind when the game starts, he settles in and it's really, really good. Again, the Giants, like I said last week, they shut down Daniel Jones. There's more people I think they should shut down at this point. It just never works for them, and I don't know what it is. It's like I feel like the last couple of years they brought in a lot of different players to try to, especially the wide receiver group, they brought them in trying to shake it up, give Jones or whoever's playing the quarterback at that point more targets or more players to get the ball to, and it's not doing well. Like, they got Kyle Rudolph. I haven't heard him this whole year. Evan Ingram still, to me, is not a great tight end. I feel like he should be a lot better than what he's playing as. Saquon Barkley needs to be shut down as well. He's not. It's not doing anything. I don't know why they keep playing him. Saquon Barkley usually is the one reason why I'm terrified when we play the Giants. Again, I always talk about NFC games. You never know what's going to happen. As bad as the Giants were, we lost to them 2 weeks ago, and every time they play, I don't know what happens. So I just don't think Saquon should be out there. I think he should really be resting at this point. As we all know, the season's over for them. But they're out there. Jake Fromm, it's not working. But then at the same time, reports did come out saying that the Giants reportedly are bringing back Daniel Jones and Joe Judge. It's a chance that David Gettleman will step down, or whatever they want to call it, let him step down. But then that opens up the door that if they do get somebody new in, are they going to want to keep Joe Judge, and are they going to want to keep Daniel Jones? I don't see why they're keeping them. I honestly have no clue. Doesn't make any sense to me. But as I reference all the time, Wilson says bad teams do bad things. So I'm not that surprised. But next week, the Giants will play against the Bears. The Eagles will play against the Washington football team again. So we'll see what happens next week because the Eagles are currently in the playoffs. I'll go ahead and throw that out there right now. They're currently in the playoffs, which is crazy. But the other game that happened this week, again, like I said, we had so many close games, but I'm lying, we didn't. The Washington football team played against the Dallas Cowboys, and this was not the first game, guys, because the first game was a little bit more competitive, and you thought this time around maybe it'll be a little bit more competitive, but no. The Washington football team lost to the Cowboys. Cowboys had 56. Yes, I said 56. The Washington football team had 14, and yes, I said 14. Taylor Heineke, 7 of 22, 121 yards, 1 touchdown, 2 interceptions, and 1 carry for -1 yards. Kyle Allen was 8 of 10, because yes, Kyle Allen did get in. 8 of 10, 67 yards, 1 touchdown. Jarrett Patterson had 9 carries for 33 yards. Antonio Gibson, 6 carries, 29 yards, and 2 receptions for 29 yards and 1 touchdown. And De'Ami Brown, 2 receptions for 53 yards, and John Bates, 2 receptions, 45 yards, 1 touchdown. On the other side, like I said, Cowboys offense was like, hello, we're here. We never left. We're back again. Dak Prescott, 28 of 39, 330 yards, 4 touchdowns, and 4 carries for 21 yards. Cooper Rush got some action. He was 2 of 3, 70 yards, 1 touchdown, 2 carries for no yards. Ezekiel Elliott had 9 carries, 37 yards for 1 rushing touchdown, and 1 reception for 5 yards for 1 receiving touchdown. Amari Cooper, who publicly stated he wanted more targets, he got them. 7 receptions, 85 yards, 1 touchdown. Malik Turner, 3 receptions, 82 yards, 1 touchdown. Dalton Schultz, 8 receptions, 82 yards, 1 touchdown. Terrence Steele, 1 reception, 1 yard, 1 touchdown. Again, this is a theme. These offensive tackles are starting to score. Shout out to Terrence Steele for getting it. It literally was a blowout from start to finish. Like, I mean, from the top of the game to the end of everything, it was a wrap. It was just terrible. I mean, I feel like the Washington football team was probably missing still some people from the COVID situation, but they got Heineke back, which they didn't have when they played against the Eagles the previous week. But it was just bad. Like, I can't even see any bright spots. Like, it was bad all the way around. Like, Taylor didn't know what was happening. He was running for his life. And again, I mean, how do you start the game and you throw at the person who has the most interceptions in the game? How? Yes, I know he's playing against McLaurin. You're a best receiver. Don't do it. We've said it all year. Stop. Trayvon Diggs has 11 interceptions a year, which is nuts. And people are talking about how Michael Parsons should be, of course, Defensive Player of the Year as a rookie, but then they talk about him the Defensive Player of the Year as well. I mean, they should talk about him as well. I'm not saying he's going to win it because there are a lot of great candidates out there, Myles Garrett, TJ Watt. But I mean, if we're looking at winning, yeah. I mean, they won a lot of games, so I would think it should come from them. But again, we don't know. I mean, DeMarcus Lawrence tipped the pass, intercepted it, ran it back. It was just a massacre. Like, I literally probably turned it off halfway, not even halfway, probably like mid-second quarter. Like, it was still on, and I was just listening, and I was like, this is just bad. This is really bad. So with that, though, Washington football team's playoff hopes have been dwindled even further. I think they're still technically not mathematically out, but go ahead and start looking at next year. So you guys, like I said, listen to Keith coming up soon, because you guys are going to need some quarterbacks. Because I said at the beginning of the year, Tyler Heineke is not it. It's not it. People kept trying to act like he was. He's not. And I still don't think Dan Jones is either, but he might get a second chance. But yeah, it was really, really bad. I mean, the Giants, like I said, Dallas will play the Cardinals this week, and the Washington football team will play the Eagles again. I'm gonna be honest, the Cowboys is getting the Cardinals at a really great time. Not saying that it would be different. You know, I don't know what the outcome would be regardless. But the Cardinals are going through it right now. I think they lost 3 straight. You know, they've got James Conner hasn't played. DeAndre Hopkins is out. It's bad over there too. But you never know, you know. So I'm interested to see how that game goes. That was one game on their schedule that I thought would be a decent game for them. But with the way they played last week, you know, because like I said, the defense has been carrying them in the last couple of games. It was nice to see Dak and the offense get back on track. If you're a Cowboys fan, it's not that nice for me, but you know what I mean. Hopefully none of them play the last game of the year. That's all I'm going to say. Hopefully you guys just rest in week 18. Just let it go. If you can't get the number 1 seed, what's the point? You know, just let us have this. Thanks. Appreciate you.
Nah, they need to go ahead and finish strong, run through the tape. Run
no, thank you.
Tape. Finish
finish
strong and run through the tape, Dallas. Needs to happen.
No.
And as for the Cardinals, they
you don't want to get COVID and stuff. Yeah, it's bad out there. They lucky they got Chase Edmonds back.
Man, they holding on, like dearly holding on. But like you already mentioned, for everybody not named Ray in the division. Because I don't know what the Eagles are going to do. They shouldn't be doing anything. But
I don't think
Philadelphia out here just acting crazy. We won't get to it later. But Dallas, the only team in the division, having a top 5 quarterback in said division. And guess what? It matters. It's crazy how that works. It's almost important. Yeah. Kind of like you need those things. So Keith is here for you guys, all you QB needing teams. If you don't want to go like through to the Derek Carrs, the Jimmy Garoppolos, possibly the Baker Mayfields of the world that are out here for you. Maybe get some draft capital, come up and talk to Keith's talking about 2 young quarterbacks in this class, and we're gonna let them go. And it'll be followed by our first break, and we'll be back very, very soon. You're watching Focus TV again for your quarterback needy teams, specifically Washington. Hey man, I would pay attention these next couple weeks to keep saying it. Just me.
Welcome back to my favorite part of the week. I enjoy doing these every week because I get to talk about and educate myself mostly about this upcoming draft class and what it kind of has to offer, because each year is different. But today we're going to be talking about 2 different quarterbacks, mainly off of the fact that most draft classes are based around and judged by how good the quarterback position is and what it has to offer. So this year it's viewed as not as good as like last year's or as most years, and next year's actually, because they have Alabama's quarterback Bryce Young, CJ Stroud, all those guys coming out, so it's a bit stronger next year. But this year I wanted to look at two specific guys that I think are pretty solid quarterbacks and who I think they play like. The first guy we're going to talk about is Kenny Pickett, Pittsburgh's quarterback. He has already declared for the draft, and this guy is viewed as, and in my opinion also, the best quarterback that this draft class has to offer. Let me explain why. This guy, the guy I think he plays most like, and there's different parts to him that play like this guy. Some things aren't, some things are. But this guy just reminds me of Joe Burrow. And the guy I'm talking about is Kenny Pickett. Kenny Pickett is a baller. You can see it with the way he plays. He has that swagger to him that Joe Burrow has. I love how poised he is in the pocket. Whenever it shuts down, he's still calm and collected, and he's able to roll out and move around as majority of the quarterbacks in this class aren't able to do, while also being a threat as a runner. He started this controversy because obviously, football is changing, and it's all about protecting quarterbacks. So he did a play where he had a fake slide and ended up running it for like a 54-yard touchdown, and everybody was like, it's unfair, it's an abuse of the rules, which it is. You shouldn't be allowed to fake slide, slow the defender up, and then score a touchdown, because that's abusing you, because a lot of defenders get targeting penalties because when the quarterback slides and they go for the hit, they can't stop themselves, which is a penalty that I think they need to assess a little bit better. But nonetheless, they have now changed it to where you cannot do that. Nonetheless, my point is that he still is a mobile guy. He can move around, and also in one-on-one times, he can beat a defender around the edge to pick up the first down. Like Kirk Cousins does this, and he's not mobile, but if he does on a play action boot, whichever way he goes, if nothing's there, he has the mobility to get there. Kenny Pickett, I think, has that and more. I think he's very accurate, and he wears 2 gloves, which to me personally is a con. But teams can view it. Some quarterbacks do, some quarterbacks don't. It just gets a better grip on the ball. And I think personally, I play quarterback myself sometimes. It's kind of harder to get the ball where you need it to be when you have a glove on, because it still has that sticky traction. Josh Dobbs, former quarterback of Tennessee, said it himself. He said, when you have a glove, and especially a wide receiver glove, when you're throwing with a wide receiver glove, the traction and how it sticks to your hand is kind of hard to get it out. But Dan Orlovsky said it best, and he said quarterback position is it's a read and react position. That's all it is. It's how do you see it pre-snap, how do you see it post-snap. So that's the biggest thing on Kenny Pickett. I think Kenny Pickett reads defenses really well. Pre-snap, he audibles a lot, he breaks things down, and he reads. He went against Clemson, and Clemson is a powerhouse. Everybody knows that, and he picked them apart. And post-snap is when you have 4 300-plus pound guys who all have NFL aspirations coming at you, and you're still able to be calm and collected. That is one of the best things about this guy, is how calm he can be. And he has a nice, deep ball. I think he had a receiver win an award. I don't remember the specific receiver's name or what award he won. But I do know that my biggest thing on quarterbacks is the fact that they've got to make the receivers around them better. You hear a lot of people say they don't have talent around them, or they don't have the pieces they need to thrive. And there's guys like Patrick Mahomes and Aaron Rodgers and Tom Brady who make guys better than they would be without any other quarterback. For instance, the Julian Edelmans, Wes Welker, you got Jordy Nelson. Like, all of these guys wouldn't be what they were without those quarterbacks. And Kenny Pickett has made receivers around him better. Will that translate to the NFL? I'm not sure. But in college, he's done so. Let's move on to the cons. He doesn't have really much cons, which is why he's the number 1 quarterback of the class. But he went to a lower-end school in Pitt. Pitt doesn't really produce great quarterbacks. They had Dan Marino, but since then they haven't really had a dominant quarterback. So this is the first that they'll have. He was also a Heisman runner-up. He fell short to Bryce Young and Aiden Hutchinson, but he nonetheless was still, and is viewed in some people's eyes, should have won the Heisman. The next guy we're going to talk about is Matt Corral, quarterback out of Ole Miss, who I personally view as a round 2 guy. And let me say why. I think, and when I've talked to people and compared him to this guy, obviously because the guy I've compared him to is Andy Dalton. And obviously, when people hear Andy Dalton, they're going to think of right now. They're going to think about how how his careers went downward. Now he's in Chicago. He was a starter, got benched for a rookie. So it's a mess when you think about Andy Dalton. When I think about Andy Dalton, I think about him and how he was with the Bengals. The Bengals were a winning team with Andy Dalton. They made the playoffs pretty often with Andy Dalton, and he was a solid quarterback. He didn't do anything special, but he was a solid quarterback to have. Matt Corral reminds me a lot about him. They have similar size, and Matt Corral is really great with RPO. That is the main offense that Ole Miss ran. They were really good with it because he was able to know if the linebacker would come up, okay, I'm going to get it behind him. If he went back, then I'm going to hand it off. And he was really good with that throughout college. He had a solid arm at many points in his college career, and he would lay the deep ball in places where it's like, if I walked up there and handed it to the guy, I might not have put it that well. But he's also mobile. He's a great runner. You see, sometimes this guy breaks off 50-plus yard runs and provides first downs just off of the fact that when the pocket collapses, he's able to move around. But when it comes to a quarterback, one of the biggest things is decision making, and this is why I didn't have him as a round one guy. And if you're not a round one guy, that doesn't mean much. There have been round two quarterbacks that have been really good. For instance, Derek Carr. He also plays like Derek Carr. Like, I think those guys mesh together well too. But he is a smaller quarterback, and when you watch his film, a lot of the time that he provides, a great ball or a great play is when he has an un-NFL like pocket. And what I mean by that, at most in the NFL, you're getting 2.5 seconds in the pocket before you got to make a decision. Because there's guys coming at you, and a lot of times the offensive lineman won't be able to hold them. So you're going to have to be able to get that ball out. And he also has been, at times throughout college, a questionable decision maker, which leads to turnovers. It leads to him holding the ball longer than he should. His ball delivery has also been an issue. So he just has a few cons that if he can fix up come his NFL career, like, I don't think he'll have a solid. I think he'll have an okay rookie year. The times where I say he'll be a questionable decision maker, ball delivery is an issue, I think they'll show. But if he lands in the right system with the right coach, I think Matt Corral can have a similar ride as Andy Dalton did, to where he'll become a quarterback where you don't. I have a phrase when I say a quarterback you don't win because of, but a quarterback you don't lose because of. And that's, I think, the best way to phrase Matt Corral, because he's not going to do anything special to provide you he's going to be the reason we win that game, like Aaron Rodgers, Patrick Mahomes, Lamar Jackson, Joe Burrow, Justin Herbert. You're not going to win because of him, but you're not going to lose because of him. Like, he's not going to. If you need a field goal to win the game, if he was there, I believe that he'd be able to provide getting down there for three. I think he's a game manager, Jimmy G, Andy Dalton, those type of guys, where if they get their job done, you can win it. And I think he's one of those guys that can get his job done. Those are two guys that I think you guys should be aware of come draft time. They may fall or rise come combine time, because the combine is a very big part for quarterbacks. But these are two guys who I think should be very good quarterbacks and solid quarterbacks come their NFL careers. Peace.
Bill Cardell, can you hear us? We can't hear you. You try to come back out and come in and see if that does anything. Yo, Cardell, I just hit your phone. If you can hear me, I don't know if you can. Hey, Ray.
Yeah.
You see the Wizards getting punched. That's what we got to talk about later. Oh, let me put this on pause real quick. Hopefully that's all it was the audio. Shit. Yeah, cool. You can hear us? You can hear us? We can't hear you if you're talking. All right, give me 1 second. All right, I think we're gonna have it this time. I think Safari done struck again, Octavia.
That's funny.
Octavia was out this joint using Safari for like half a year, and that joint finally
Yeah,
started working.
I was like, wait, I'm not supposed to use Safari. Oh, my bad.
Yeah, I don't
Download
never
this
use
Google
that joint. I
Chrome.
be on yeah.
I had no clue. I thought Safari was it.
That joint on my phone just because it came with it. Same thing with the computer. It doesn't get used. Man. I got to be down bad to use Safari. It means Chrome is broken.
Dang. I definitely use Safari on my phone.
Yeah,
I hear
yeah,
stuff.
we can hear you now. Yeah, we can hear you now. That's all it was.
Safari.
That joint had me dying. Octavia was messing with that joint for a year. All right. So what we'll do is I'll just welcome us back in from break and just hand it over to you.
All right.
And then we'll follow it up with the second break. So that's all it is. All right. Welcome back to the. My bad. Welcome back to the Focus TV. As promised, we got Cardell Dudley Jr. joining us from Slam Dunk at the Beach, aka Hoophall East. I know you're watching a great game, Cardell. Hey, the floor is yours. Let everybody know what you're taking in.
It's anything but that. It's a great matchup, but it's not a great game right now. Right now, it's the headline of probably the whole event. Number 7 Arizona Compass taking on West Town School, which is ranked 22nd in the country. Arizona Compass has 5 players that's ranked in the top 50, and West Town has the number 1 player in the country, Derek Lively. He's going to do, and right now it's ass whooping. Arizona Compass is up 23-4 after the first quarter. Derek Lively has all 4 West Town points. Wilson, we talked a little bit yesterday about this Arizona Compass team. This team is a cheat code. They're more athletic than some NBA teams. Like everybody in their roster can windmill, if you know what I mean, no matter their size. It's a sick combination of athleticism and left that they have, man. They defensively, it's like why they're up. I know they're shooting well from the field. They shoot 57% from the field, 54% from 3. But defensively, West Ham can look at the lobby. They can barely pass the ball inside, and it's great to see. As a basketball guy, all that I love to see, especially the defensive intensity. But it's looking like they if it's a better team in the country better than them, I got to see it, man. Because they to me they got about pro prospects. They got about 8. Just being honest, they got a couple young ones that are first learning. They playing behind some dogs right now, but they're gonna be next up as soon as these guys graduate and move on to college. So that's how talented they are, man. It's just it's overwhelming right now with what they can do, and it's just it's special to see.
All right, you've watched several other games other than this one tonight. I know you'll get more to an in-depth breakdown over at finestmag.com, but if there's a couple other names you want to share that you've seen today before you get out of here.
Oh yeah, I'm gonna just throw out 5 names I've seen these days through the past couple of days. Darren Buchanan from Wilson High School, DC product plays for Team Durant. He had a monster game yesterday, man, in the losing effort. He had 29 points, 12 rebounds, 5 assists, and 5 steals. DeMarcus Lawrence from Roselle Catholic, he's a Nebraska commit. Remember the kid Butler? Remember the kid Butler from Baylor? Yeah, that can do everything. He's in that mode. He's nasty like that, man. He had 20.7 assists, 3 steals on 8 of 16 shooting, and it went over Wilson yesterday. And then earlier today, actually the game before this one, he finished with 24 points, 4 assists on 10 of 14 shooting, 4-7 for 3 in the win over Gray Academy. DJ Wagner, if that ain't sound familiar, yes, he's the son of DeJuan Wagner. If you came up in my age group, you already know what DeJuan Wagner did. He's pretty much the number 1 guard in the country from the sophomore to the senior year. He was nasty. Injury cut short the NBA career. His son is next up. He's the number 1 player in the junior class. He's not quite his pops, but he's very good. His pops is a little bit more talented. He can impose as well. And this time, lets the game come to him. But the one thing they share is they both can score the ball. He's about 6'3", 6'4" in his own right, man. Obviously under the tutelage of his pops and his head coach Rick Brunson from the NBA vet, he'll be just fine. Simeon Wilton, another North Carolina commit, another the point guard for Roselle Catholic. I mean, this kid might be the most talented guard in this event. That's saying something. He had 25 points, 4 rebounds, 4 assists, 3 steals, and 9 of 13 shooting in the win over Wilson yesterday. And before this game began, he had 25.7 assists, 4 rebounds on 10 of 11 shooting, 3 of 3 from 3 in the win over Gray Academy. North Carolina commit, 6'5" point guard. I know Chapel Hill can't wait to get him on campus. He's special talent. And I'm just throwing the entire Arizona Compass team in there. You just pick a player, though. That's how dominant they are. They're up 27-7 as we speak. It's a route right now, man. It's ugly, dog. Like, y'all see the highlights, y'all understand what I'm saying. Like, this look like the old field teams when I was in the house. They just come and just beat everybody by like 50 and keep it moving. That's what they look like to me, man. The whole team just pick a player, though.
All right, well, you enjoy the rest of your night, the rest of the event. Look forward to seeing them highlights over the coming days. If you guys don't know now, Follow them at Finest Mag. That's Cardell. And then obviously the Focus TV. Cardell, enjoy the rest of your night. We're going to take our second break. When we get back, Ray's going to talk to you guys about the Wizards and the Go-Go. The Wizards are kind of going through it right now, but we'll get to that later. You're watching the Focus TV. All right, welcome back to the Focus TV. As promised, Raymond, the Wizards, and the Go-Go subsequently, because due to health and safety protocols, everybody all of a sudden has a much needed interest in the G League.
Yeah, you kind of prefaced the situation with the Wizards. They coming off a loss to Philly tonight. It's not going any better for them. They're down 65-51 at the half. But yeah, they're going through it from a depth standpoint. They got a lot of guys out. Aaron Holiday, Trez, KCP still out, and Bradley Beal still out. They're bare bones right now, and just trying to make it work. Rui, he's been on the sideline the last few games in uniform, so excuse me. It's just a matter of time until we see him playing again. So that's a good sign. But yeah, man, they're in the dog days. They're trying to tough it out. They gained a little bit of momentum before the Philly game. 2 good wins against Utah and the Knicks. But they just ran into Embiid, who routinely gives them issues, as he does to pretty much every team in the league. And now tonight they're playing Miami with a skeleton crew. So it is what it is. And I mean, Miami's got a few guys out as well. So it's not really an excuse you can use, because pretty much every team is going through this for the most part. But they're trying to fight through it. Hopefully they can come out on the right side of this and string some wins together. In regards to the Go-Go, they have not seen action since the conclusion of the Winter Showcase. The G League is on hold for the moment. They'll be resuming on January 5th. But they have had several call-ups in the past week. Greg Monroe, he's currently on a 10-day with the Timberwolves. Jordan Shackle, Craig Sword, and Jordan Goodwin have been called up to the Wizards. Like Wilson said, man, the G League's getting a lot of action due to this COVID situation, man. It's there have been 74 call-ups so far this season. That's I believe that's the most ever in one season. I know I saw there's been 541 players play in the NBA this season, and that is a league high. So yeah, man, guys are trying to piece together rosters however they can. So if that should tell these G League guys anything, just they need to be ready for this opportunity, because with the way things are going, they're going to get a shot, man. So we've seen some guys take advantage of it. Yeah, if you're one of those G League players, be ready, because your number is more than likely going to get called at some point. People all across the league, they need bodies right now. So yeah, it will be in your best interest to to still stay on your P's and Q's even during this downtime. Because who even knows what's going to happen with the G League? Adam Silver, he's been adamant about not pausing the NBA, but as we saw before, when COVID first hit, the NBA resumed and the G League was just put on hold for the entire season. So, we'll see what happens, man. Hopefully, this thing gets situated. But definitely happy for those Go-Go guys that are getting a chance to play at the next level. Hopefully something good comes of it. They'd all been showing growth through the G League season. So, this opportunity is well deserved.
You're definitely not lying about that, man. It's almost like seeing I mean, like the bones of rosters right now. Like it's real. Like we were joking the other night. Like this, like for example, I'll just say the Nets. For example, like they're tops in the East right now for the most part. It was KD, what used to be James Harden, and the Long Island Nets, along with Patty Mills, or would have them in first place. James Harden just joined the Brooklyn Nets like this week, last couple nights. James Harden's officially joined the 2021 season. The Warriors lost to the Suns. Both teams close to full strength. Then the other night they beat Christmas Day? They beat the Suns, missing their entire collection of wings. Make it make sense. Like people are going through things, and this is what made when a certain LeBron James made that comment about teams being healthy without a courtesy Google check before making that absurd statement that the only team that hasn't experienced hasn't been hit by COVID was the Warriors. The Warriors literally that day didn't have any depth that day. Like Kuminga and Moody were spending some time in the G League. Now it's like, hey kids, we need you. Here's 12, 15 minutes. Talk about the Wizards tonight. Man, there was a couple lineups on the floor tonight in the first half. I was like, oh, that's the Capital City Go-Go and a Wizards player. And it's like that for several teams around the league. Like, obviously making light of it, but teams are going through it. And look, man, it's just crazy. And again, the importance of the G League, because people they've overlooked it, they've discarded it, thrown it aside. Like you mentioned, Greg Monroe, his first game for the Timberwolves, dude, almost had a double-double. Like, hey, buddy, I know you ain't played in a while, playing the NBA in a while. Here you go, here's 25 minutes. Oh, it's a double-double? Wow, that's the guy that used to be here didn't give us that.
Stay a little bit longer.
If you don't mind, please. I think we have another 10-day for you. Would you like that? All right, so we're going to move on to rapid fire this week. Obviously, I'm not Cardell. I will do my best. But before we get started, just want to, extend condolences to the family of John Madden. May he rest in peace. Found out that he passed earlier today. Had a huge impact on the world as a whole, along with football, obviously. But Ray, I feel like once again you were looking at my notes. The first question I had, you wanted to go be real specific with Greg Monroe being the 541st player. So I got to use the question anyways. We're here now. So what do you guys think of that being an NBA record? And we haven't fully reached the halfway point, and they've surpassed the NBA record of 541 players being used. We still got the whole second half of the season to go. So Octavia, we'll start with you. So what do you think of that? Them breaking the record already at this point? And then secondly, what do you think what is the new record going to look like by the end of this season?
Oh, it's going to be way higher than that. It's going to get wild. That's crazy though. 541 players so far, but I definitely think it's going to go up. These cases have been surging just out of control. And I do think that a lot of it probably did stem from the holidays. People are around more people, their families that coming from out of town or wherever they're coming from. So, I mean, I hope that with the new year coming up that it does trend down, but I just still foresee it as it's going to hit them for a little while longer, which is why you see so many of the protocols getting changed now, because they know we're really running out of bodies. And Adam Silver has already come out and said it doesn't make any sense for them to pause the season. So there's going to be no pausing of the season. So they have to have at least 8 players on the team in order to have the game. Then you got to think about, we got to have reschedules. There's some games have been postponed. Now those games have to get rescheduled for when, who knows? Maybe people are going to have to play later into the All-Star break. Maybe they'll decide to do them because, a lot of them get off a little bit early before the All-Star break. Maybe they won't get that now. So I definitely think it's going to keep going up. So like you said, some of these players, I'm like, dang, I forgot about him. I know I was watching one game and I was like, is that Lance Stevenson? I was like, dang, where'd he come from? So it's just they're everywhere. And I mean, it's good for some players that have been trying to get back in the league, like Isaiah Thomas. But it's just crazy, and I think it's just going to continue. I don't think 541 is not going to be it. I wouldn't be surprised if it got to I'm terrible at estimation, so I'm not going to say it, but it's gonna go up some more.
All right, Ray, your turn, and hopefully, if you don't mind, if you're bold enough to throw out a random number, we'll see what happens.
No, I'm terrible.
Yeah, no, it's definitely going to go up. Based on Adam Silver said we're not pausing the season, so they're gonna the number's gonna grow. But like Octavia said, I think the holidays really did have a lot to do with it because we kind of saw the beginning of it shortly after Thanksgiving. So yeah, then it just ran rampant through the league. But on the flip side of that, I think Joel Embiid kind of alluded to this. Like last year, they were much more stringent on the protocols and and the processes and policies. And I think kind of this year they were really operating as if things were normal, and they're obviously not. So of course that's led to more positive cases, because they're just not being as careful. So it's a domino effect, man. So but the positive thing is guys are getting opportunities that otherwise wouldn't have had them. So and they're taking advantage. So yeah, man, that's always good to see. There was a tweet from a Washington Post employee that didn't go over well about the Christmas Day games, and I'm pretty sure he feels pretty stupid now because all the games I watched were good. I just didn't watch. I didn't watch the 10:30 game because I'm old, but all the other games were good, man. So,
I was like, yeah, because I was asleep.
So yeah, man, like it's more than 450 people on Earth that can play basketball at a high level. So they're not gonna have issues filling these spots. You asking me to throw out a number?
Oh yeah, that's what we're here for. A number. Yep.
We have 541 right now.
Good luck.
I wouldn't be surprised to see it get to 560. Because
I feel like that's a nice safe number.
Yeah, like a lot of these 10 days aren't gonna get extended. And then later on down the road, when they need replacements, other guys are gonna get added on 10 days and things like that. So and then of course you throw the COVID component in, and even with them kind of shortening the quarantine period, depending on how bad this gets, if it continues to tear through the league, then you guys are going to continuously get called up. So yeah, that's where I see it going. All
right, I got a bunch of questions. I'm gonna try to pick and choose with what we have left. All right, I got a fun one just because I'm an extremely petty person, and you guys already know that. So the Cleveland Browns were supposed to be better this year. Supposed to be, the toast of one of the teams is the toast of the AFC. Trading Odell was supposed to make things easier for one Baker Mayfield because you wouldn't have to be dependent and hearing this very quote unquote immature person beg for the football, allegedly. Removing him from the situation would only make things easier, is what we were told. So we're here now. Things have not changed. Things have, in fact, gotten worse. And Baker Mayfield, he was the number 1 overall pick in a class that had some other talented folks. People make decisions. Again, QB needy teams as you go into this year. Keep things like this in mind. What Keith was trying to say, there's another saying when you talk about quarterbacks. Are you the truck or the trailer? So Cleveland, gonna ask you guys right now, because it's about time to pony up and make a decision about Mr. Mayfield. Are you going to give that man an extension comparable to those in his class? Is he the type of guy that just slapping 5 years down, throwing $150, $200 million down, and going, that's the guy, we're good, let's ride? Ray, we'll start with you and then go to Octavia.
Has anything he's done on the field dictated that that's what he's worth? I don't think so. Yeah, man. And is even if you don't get a QB in this year's draft, Keith said next year's draft is looking good. So you give him something that reflects his play and the results he's produced. And if he likes that, then cool. And if he doesn't, then I wish you luck in the wars to come, and and go ahead and seek help elsewhere. I mean, like this is situations like this is probably why I wouldn't survive very long in a professional team front office, because I'm not gonna give you a boatload of money just because if you haven't proven that you're worth it, then you're not worth it, plain and simple, man. Like, especially for that type of commitment. Yeah. Like, yeah, I wouldn't treat him like he's one of the guys that proved it, pretty much. So again, I'm not paid to make those decisions. Like, yeah, whatever, man. Like, you can potentially grow somewhere else, but especially after we've done things to capitulate to you and try to make the situation as as you want it, and you're not producing, then what's next? At some point, the fingers got to get pointed at you. So, hey, man, it is what it is.
Octavia, the floor is yours on Baker Mayfield. Give an extension, or that's just the Browns' business. It's up to you. What do you think?
So, like, one of my favorite quotes that I use all the time is, "It's a no for me, dog." It's gonna be a no for me, dog. My best Randy Jackson voice. It's gonna be a no for me, dog. Honestly, I feel like if anything, like he needs a prove it contract again. Like, because right now, like you said, like the quarterback class is coming out soon. I mean, the next one is coming up. Probably isn't the best that they want to change up a whole lot. But I don't think that Baker has done anything for them to extend him for a long period of time. The only thing that he's done is get consistently hurt and consistently throw the ball to the other team. And when he's not doing that, then he's just, handing the ball off to Nick Chubb or Kareem Hunt. That's about it. Or he's making a Progressive commercial. I don't know. But it's not helping the football team. And don't get me wrong, like, I don't want to put the whole bad season on Baker because there has been times their defense has not shown up, but then there has been times their defense has shown up. And then the whole melodrama with Odell, which I honestly don't think was Odell's fault, but here we are again. He's just the scapegoat in this situation. But yeah, it's a no. He's not worth it. It's Cleveland. Like, even when people said that Cleveland was going to be good, and with everything that I saw on paper where it looked like they should be good, I could never believe it because it's Cleveland. Like, I don't know a time of my adult life, or probably my life, or when I paid enough attention to football to know what's going on, the Browns have ever been good. So when people tell me that, I'm like, that doesn't sound right. I don't believe it. And that's literally how I felt, even though, like, even when Odell first got signed there, I was like, oh, the Browns going to be good. They got Odell, they got this, they got that. They could make a little bit of noise. Then they did a little something that year, finally made the playoffs, I think it was. And, they started off pretty decent this year. But, I mean, you want to be the number one. I mean, you don't want to be. You are a number one pick in your draft, and these are the things you have to live up to. And you're not playing like a number one draft pick, and I'm not going to pay you like a number one draft pick. I'm going to pay you like a backup, or something modest. Like, he's not. Like, when I heard that he was so excited to get on that plane to get to the game on time because he just got out of COVID protocols. I was like, ooh, you should have just stayed in Cleveland. You was going to come out here and do that. you really got on a private jet, flew all the way to Green Bay in the cold to do that. You should have stayed home. Like, whoever they had that was going to play, they'd have been fine. They probably could have done what you did or maybe a little better. So, yeah, it's a no for me. Sorry, Baker. I feel bad for him at times. Like, I read something like apparently like his wife said he's getting death threats. Like, to me, it's never that deep, guys. It's like, it's a football game. It's not that deep. Sometimes I go a little overboard. But yes, it has been bad. It's been pretty bad. So, but my favorite person to quote, Wilson, bad teams do bad things. So maybe they'll extend
man,
him. Pay him an arm and a leg.
I can't take full credit. It's from my man Owen Reese. I want to make sure Owen gets his love. He told me this like 6 years ago, and I've never forgotten it. Like, because it's the truth. From one bad thing to another, from one bad team to another. Oh man, the Los Angeles Lakers are going through it, like most teams in the association. They're currently in 9th place out west, having lost 5 straight. So many people are like, it's an easy fix. Just trade Russ or Horton Tucker and, naming a bunch of very talented players, highly skilled and talented players, they could get in return. So, I'm here, pettiness aside. If you believe it, that's on you or not. Let's have an honest conversation about it, right? So outside of dealing Anthony Davis, who I think is like the only high-level asset over there that can bring back the type of star that they seek in return, could the Lakers move Russ, considering his contract and, just how he's been playing, or Horton Tucker? And if you guys think they're able to move him, what's like realistic options? Because fans are fans, and Laker fans are thinking, they can get Karl Anthony Towns or, that level player back in return for Russ and THT. Keep in mind, Russ is going to be making $50+ million next season as you try to make these trades because, I just want to live in this place called reality because that paycheck would make him hard to trade on 2K with the settings unaltered. So, Ray, we'll start with you. The Lakers, how do you fix this?
You fix this by playing defense. That's the only option at this point. They not, like you said, Anthony Davis is the only piece they have that's going to yield something, worthwhile in return. Russ is unmovable, and I don't know why people think people are going to give up everything for THT. It's not going to happen. They're going to have to fix this. It's going to be a long rest of the season, man. Like, buckle up. They going to have, because more than likely, this is what they're going to have to ride out with. They claim they got a guy who makes everybody better and is a leader and all this other stuff. None of those things seem to be happening. So, hey, man, it is what it is. They put themselves in this position. They won a championship and then traded all the reasons why they won the championship. So, yeah, man, enjoy the projects. It's not my issue.
My man said, enjoy the projects. And keep in mind, they're 9th in a very weakened Western Conference. This is not a loaded Western Conference because the East is loaded. You got teams like the Cavs in the top 5 in the East. The East is loaded. That's the conference with the stronger teams. We talked about on Wizards Outlook the other night. Could have been last night. The days run together for me. The East has been this year. The East is going out west and just handed out L's. Like, here's one for you, one for you, one for you. Outside of like a couple teams, Golden State and Phoenix were like, yeah, we're not rocking. Utah sometimes be like, it ain't sweet. But the rest of the West, I mean, for various reasons, it is in fact sort of sweet. Octavia, your thoughts on the Lakers? Because I know you've shared your feelings several times this year on the Lakers.
I have. First of all, it's hilarious. Start there. It's hilarious. You said, how can they fix this? The only way to fix this is for them to build a time machine, go back in time before they, signed all these old players and got rid of all of the good ones that, like Ray said, helped them win. I'm sure they wish they still had an Alex Caruso. I know they wish they had an Alex Caruso right now instead of whatever they got that's going on now. But like, even looking at the last 5 games They lost to Brooklyn, San Antonio, Phoenix, Chicago, and Minnesota. And I mean, like, by a good margin in most of them. They lost to Chicago by 5. They lost to Brooklyn by 7. But they were getting dogged in that game. They came back. I mean, you give up 138 points to the Spurs. Who plays for the Spurs? And I'm not trying to go on the Spurs because this Popovich, he always going to be relevant. But who plays for... Y'all can't stop them from scoring 138 points? Like, seriously. It is bad. Oh, my God, it's so bad. And what's so crazy is we all knew it. But no, everybody said, like, no, we got so much years of experience. They're going to be great. Anthony Davis isn't going to get hurt like we knew he would. Like, he's honestly, like, the best nickname ever that anybody has ever made up for somebody. Thank you, Charles Barkley, because street clothes is real. That's all he does is playing around the bench in street clothes because he ain't playing, you know? So, and the fact that in their last 4 games, like, LeBron James had 31 against the Bulls, 34 against the Suns, 36 against the Spurs, and 39 against Brooklyn. And they still getting dogged. Like, this man is in his, 18th season. He'll turn 37 on Thursday. His birthday's one day after mine. So I'm just like, he's doing everything. He's the only old man on the team that's actually doing anything. You know, Melo, I told you not to leave, but I guess you just wanted to go out there and do old people things. It's terrible. And just like you said, I don't know who thinks people are checking for THT. He's not that great, guys. Like, he's decent, but nobody's giving up their whole roster for him. I can tell you that. It's not happening. None of them. They're not giving enough for none of them. Malik Monk, Wayne Ellington, nobody wants them. So the only way to fix it is to get in a DeLorean, go back in time, fix your mistakes. If not, you're going to have to suck it up and play the season out. And I'm going to laugh every time. They play tonight, and I can't wait. Because if they lose to Houston, I'm going to laugh again. Like, it's just going to be hilarious. But, yeah,
they better not get on. They better not get out here and lose to Houston because they all need to just go 0 dark 30 for like 2 weeks. It's not going to be
for the rest of the season
in 2021. Like, just turn everything off until 2022. And I mean off until you beat a good team. Because that's the only thing, like, if you lose to Houston, there's no taking the stink off that. And you've lost to the Thunder.
Then they play Memphis. They play Memphis on Wednesday. So they play Memphis on a back-to-back. Count that as an L. Go ahead. Count it as an L.
Oh, man. I think I had one. I don't even know if I can. Oh, yeah. Okay. So I'm going to try to not be too petty here, but going from one, old and injured team to another. James Garoppolo hurt his thumb in the loss to Tennessee last week. We found that out after the game, after the 2 picks and the monstrosity that he called the game that he put out there for people to see before Christmas. It was not a wonderful present. It's looking like the Trey Lance era may begin this weekend. So my question is for you guys. They're currently in 6th. Octavius Eagles are in 7th. The NFC is just wild. You can't expect anything. The Chargers got smacked by the Texans this week. And then, the Niners played the Texans this week. Fun time. So you got 2 games. Pretty much got to win out or go 1-1 and you need some help. He was a 3rd overall pick or what have you, but that's a heck of a time to be like, here's the ball, Rook. By the way, the season's riding on these 2 games. For whatever reason, this is when he's getting the ball. But what you guys think about it? That's all I got. I have nothing to say. Just, we'll see what you guys have to say. I'd say if we can start with you there, Ray. I'm chilling.
I think it's definitely gonna be interesting. That is a lot of pressure for a rookie who's only played in started 1 game this year, and played a handful of snaps every now and then for the other games this year. You want to think that they should still be able to pull it out because I think Trey Lance is very talented. I think Kyle Shanahan is going to put him in good positions in the game. And I mean, to be honest, it's the Texans. Now, of course, the Texans beating the Chargers last week. I don't know what happened. Like, but the Chargers have done this before to me. Like, you see them, and you're like, okay, they should not lose this game, and they mess around and they lose the game. So it could have been more so about the Chargers than it was about the Texans. I just think, as long as Trey Lance knows to get the ball to the people that need to get the ball, which is Kittle, Debo, Ayuk, those people, well, and just not make any major mistakes, they should be able to win the game. I'm hoping you guys do so I can keep my 7th place. In the playoffs as well. But I think they should be able to pull it out. I think, like you said, it could be the beginning of an era. It'll be a great story if they win. It'll be a great story for him, being a rookie coming in this pivotal time. These games are important. This could be the start of the era. And then, go ahead and say goodbye to Jimmy James, Garoppolo, him. So yeah, it's definitely going to be interesting. It's definitely going to be a game I can't wait to watch.
All right, Ray, who's the only person here whose team has a top 5 quarterback who doesn't ever worry about the position. As long as he's healthy, you're just relaxed knowing that I got a Dak and he can do whatever whenever he's called on. Must be nice. Your thoughts on this subject?
Yeah, we're hating.
The Trey Lance era should have began week 1. But that's neither here nor there. It's nothing we can do about it now. But yeah, it kind of sucks to be just thrown in at this position. But I mean, it's also an opportunity for him to, to kind of make something happen. If he can get them into the playoffs, then that I think that'll bode well for the young man moving forward. But yeah, like that whole situation has been mismanaged the entire year, and it's not like Jimmy's been playing lights out. If you draft a quarterback, a young talented quarterback, and you don't play him for, I just don't understand the reasoning behind not playing him, because he couldn't have done much worse than the other guy anyway. So yeah, I don't even know if they deserve to get into playoffs at this point, strictly because of that. Like why they just turning to him now out of necessity when he could have been getting reps the entire time. But they should win this game though. But who knows, man? This season has been crazy. So yeah, you really can't call it. But yeah, man, this is it. It's been a circus, man. Like I really don't understand why he's just now getting a chance.
Yeah, you and me both, sir. That's why I've chosen not to be emotionally invested in this. As soon as I found out, who was starting this season. When Kyle said the guy's QB1, I was like, I guess I'm out of my business. I was emotionally invested, I think, in like week 7 when 10 didn't play and 5 had to play against the Cardinals. And I loved every minute of it. I was like, oh my gosh, this is exciting. This is what it feels like to have one of those guys under center where you feel like stuff is possible. And then, oh boy came back and I was like,
oh
what it is. Back to not caring. I hit the switch and, turn the emotions back off so I could get through the rest of the season. Like I told Octavia before we started the show, it's going to be the second time this season, rather, where I'm going to be watching and not have that nasty, disgusting feeling of something bad's about to happen and it can't be fixed. Like the worst feeling in the world this last 4 years, the ball leaves that man's hand and the camera hasn't swung to the target.
He did say that last
horrible
week.
Feeling.
He's just like, what's happening?
Right, I swear at that point, the end of the screen's right here, the ball's right here. You just know something's bad happening. You be shocked when something happened. Like you are so shocked when it gets to where it's supposed to go. And I chose to check out emotionally because I was tired of living like that. I didn't see why should I have to live like
Does
that?
become pretty taxing, yeah.
Meanwhile,
Not good for your heart.
you know, Ray's out there, Dak out there making a bad offense work. That offense is horrible. Dak just like, it's cool, it's the right play because of me. It's fine, I fix. Just go out there. Everybody loving the play caller. You know what I'm saying? Meanwhile, we got a good play caller. Everybody's like, man, he's bad. He's holding Jimmy back. These are the things that get said, man. I'm just ready to move on and enjoy my life. So, you know, like Octavia said, bye, James. Appreciate everything you've done. I'm just happy this air is over. Want to get back to being excited about I want to feel like Rayfield. You just show up like, I know, you know, we got a bad dude under center. Like, I ain't even worried about it. I don't know what's going to happen today, but I know y'all got to deal with him. That's how Ray gets to feel every week. Like, even if dude don't pick off a pass, it's fine.
Yeah,
Who cares
it's
if
been a
Micah
long
doesn't get
time.
sacks? You want to know why it doesn't matter? Because you got to stop Dakota. Dakota out here came back, lost the whole leg, came back and put his foot up people. You know, he been having a good day. So I just want to feel how Ray feels. I want to know what that feels like, what Chief fans feel like, what Bucks fans feel like, where everything go wrong. And this is like, it's fine. Y'all still got to stop him. Because my feelings been like, oh, boy. How are we going to drive this sports car off the road this week? Are we going to hit 3 trees or 2? Are we going to blow a tire? Are we going to end up in the fast lane with the blinkers on? And a McLaren, that's what it's like with dude under center. But again, y'all have a good week. They got Octavia, Ray, Cardell, and Rodney, as always. TheFocusTV.com. Visit it. You know, for Wizards Outlook, folks, you know, you guys are going to see us a lot this week because the Wizards. And for those tuning in this evening, sorry in advance. I already know the comment section is going to be full because looking at the story of the game, things aren't going well. For those of you that end up seeing the show on both Wednesday and Friday, Wednesday morning on Roku, Friday on DCTV, you know, thank you guys for your continued support, and we'll see you guys next week.